When we picture the roots of early Christianity, we usually look toward Rome, Greece, or the Middle East. But thousands of miles south, an entirely parallel Christian universe was taking shape. Today, the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church has over 35 million members. At the center of their worship is a distinctive collection, an 81-book Bible. It contains 15 more books than standard Protestant Bibles, representing the broadest scriptural canon in all of Christendom. Despite online claims of a secret or original Bible, this collection grew out of an entirely independent historical timeline. This comparative timeline tracks early Christian history. On the left, the Western Church. On the right, the Ethiopian Church. They share the same origin, but moving forward, there's a permanent break. The Ethiopian track diverges, forging a separate path for over a millennium. To understand how an 81-book Bible exists today, we must trace this timeline back to the moments Ethiopia beat the West to the punch, and when their shared history was severed. Our timeline begins immediately after Pentecost. The apostles Matthew and Bartholomew traveled south to evangelize, and the book of Acts records an Ethiopian court official as one of the very first converts. By the early 4th century, the Ethiopian king Ezana was baptized and issued a decree making Christianity the official state religion. This chart measures the adoption of state religion between the two regions. Ezana established his Christian nation 50 years before the Roman Empire did. While Western theologians relied on Greek and Latin, Ethiopian scholars began translating their scriptures into Ge'ez, an ancient local language. This combination of early state backing and a distinct language created an unshakable bedrock. It allowed their religious culture to operate entirely free of European oversight. The breaking point arrived in 451 AD, when Eastern and Western delegates collided at the Council of Chalcedon. The debate centered on the Christological controversy, the argument over whether Jesus possessed two separate natures, one human and one divine, or a single inseparable nature. Both sides refused to compromise. The Western councils excommunicated the Ethiopian delegates, and the Ethiopian Church excommunicated them right back. That theological debate caused a total communication blackout. The two sides stopped talking, completely severing Ethiopia from the Western world. The next 1,000 years were defined by isolation. The Ethiopian Church evolved completely cut off from Western theological debates for over a millennium. While Western councils were standardizing smaller 66 or 73-book canons, isolated Ethiopian authorities finalized their massive 81-book list in the 5th and 6th centuries. Without pressure from Rome, they kept ancient Second Temple Jewish texts in their act of worship, including the books of Enoch, the Book of Jubilees, and the books of Maccabean. Western rabbis and early Christian councils had analyzed these exact same books, concluded they were uninspired, and discarded them. Geographical and theological isolation acted as a historical preservative. The Ethiopian canon became a sanctuary for ancient thought that the rest of the world left behind. Over the following centuries, the rapid expansion of Islam swept across neighboring nations, subjecting the region to intense conflict and persecution. Yet, Ethiopia held its ground, maintaining a strong Christian majority up to the present day. Their isolated timeline acted as a cultural shield, allowing their faith to endure centuries of chaos. Returning to those internet myths, books like Enoch were never buried by a Western conspiracy. They are the natural output of a parallel tradition that never had to answer to Rome. Today, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church continues the sacred liturgical rites of the Apostolic Age, keeping this truly ancient tradition active. It proves that early Christianity was far more diverse than standard history suggests. A single divergence in the historical timeline preserved an entire theological universe.